Okay, beautiful Super Soul Sisters. Today I am going to talk about the independent shoes, aren't I? Because we've covered the people shoes, we covered the thing shoes, we covered the proximity shoes, and this is the fourth one that can be used in combo with the first two. So you will need to work out which one. So if you were like, well, it didn't quite resonate with me yesterday, with the one that you said yesterday, it could be because you are an independent. Now, independent, for obvious reasons, independent shoe wearers like to be independent. And I'm not talking about just by being like, they do like to be self-sufficient quite often. They like to do things on their own. They're quite comfortable. And it's not even like, a lot of people make the mistake of that they prefer to be alone. And sometimes that is the case. It does depend, and I tend to find that is the case when they are stressed out. They need time on their own. They don't need the people. They don't want the people. They have to have time to go in and internalize and process whatever it is that they're trying to deal with. They will learn things quite often and then implement it themselves rather than doing it with somebody else, or more comfortable with doing it on their own than they are with other people. So independents are exactly that. They like to stand on their own 2 feet. They like to do things on their own. They can sometimes be lone wolves. They can be but they're comfortable quite often. They can be very comfortable in their own skin. It's just like, this is just how it rolls with me, and I'm comfortable with that. So let's give you an example though, so that we can start looking at the independent people. So it might be that they have a leaning. Now it sounds like it's a bit of a juxtaposition, doesn't it? Like independent, people-oriented person. So you got your people shoes on, but you're still independent. So the joy of this combination is that there's no real sort of need to have the people around. Okay, they like to have people in their life, but they're quite comfortable doing stuff on their own as well. So that's the difference between the proximity and the independent. The proximity is more about, they do kind of need that teamy thing going on there, where there's a crowd of people. They feel more comfortable with that than they do on their own. Proximity people tend to struggle to be on their own. And that's kind of one of the clues that that I look at, is like, how comfortable are you on your own? And an independent will be very comfortable on their own, and it's not a need. Like they can but they still will gravitate to certain activities the same as the other people shoe wearers will. So it would be, they'll go to the concerts or whatever, or they'll go to the movies with a group of friends, or they'll be quite comfortable to go to the movies on their own. You see, a people proximity person is less likely to do that. A people independent person would be more inclined to be able to go to the movies, by themselves, because, it's, there's going to be people there, even if they don't know them, but they are independent enough not to have that need to go with somebody. I hope that makes sense for you. All right. Now, if we were looking at a stress environment, like if they get stressed out, I often find that independents might need to do stuff quite often in a smaller group. That it's not, they're quite particular. They'll pick 1 or 2 people that they might actually want to chat to. This is my own personal experience. I haven't got any backed research on this bit of it, but that's what I tend to find. And the independent people shoe wearer will also be able to go out and just hang out with people in a public environment, even if they don't know them, and that will be fine. But they will tend to want to talk to someone rather than do something. So if they're in a place of stress, they would be quite comfortable, picking someone that they can chat to, a good friend, or, if they're open to it, like a counselor or a coach or whatever, they would be able to do that quite relatively comfortably. Whereas now we're going to talk now about the independent thing person. Independent thing, quite often that wiring makes for the person who is less likely to be in a group. Dare I say, they are quite comfortable in their own skin, or they're not comfortable in their own skin, but they just, you would never know it because they don't, let on to it. They're the ones that are quite often perceived as loners, but sometimes they are healthy in their own skin and healthy, doing their own stuff, because that's just how their wiring is, right? But it's where you got to be aware that it might be that wiring because of previous trauma, unaddressed needs, the attachment trauma that I will be going into at some stage, because there's 4 different types. And those guys, you have the challenge there is that they find it uncomfortable being in public. They're uncomfortable with people, or they'll do it, but it's not an easy thing for them to be that. They're not team players, so they don't want to be part of that whole group. Let's, do it for the team, let's, let's do this and we'll win at all costs, and we'll win and we'll get to the top. They'll kind of be more comfortable doing their own thing in their own way, and often prone to, on a sporting level, lean towards the individual kind of sports. It might be like running or rowing, singular rowing, or it might be swimming. It might be biking. It might be, if they are biking, if they are, now let me just see, independent. No, I was going to say if they were thing proximity, I was going to say biking races. But the independent thing person would be quite comfortable doing a massive bike ride on their own, or going hiking on their own. Or, they might go, what we say back in Zim and even in Oz, I think they talk about this, like going bush. Like they quite comfortably go off into the bush and not even think about, well, if something happened to them. They're quite self-sufficient. They're quite, and sometimes actually they need that space. And that is very particular actually when they are stressed out. So if you are a people person, people shoe wearer, and you are proximity shoe wearer, so when you've got that combo pair of shoes on as a rule, all right, which you tend to have, you either have one or the other. I don't find that you take these off and change depending on, and if you do, it's uncomfortable, but you can do it, but it's not your natural tendency to do so. So if you are, say, married to or have a partner who is that way inclined, that is people and they are proximity, and they are, or you are, or married to or have a partner that is independent and thing, especially in times of stress, not going to get each other at all. Not going to get each other, because the independent thing will go off, poof, gone. Like sometimes they don't even announce it, they just vanish, and everybody else is thinking, well, that's a bit odd. Or like they'll say, look, I am going, sweetie, I'm just need to just deal with my proverbial, and away they go, and they will, I don't know, do stuff, climb, vanish, go bush, do whatever it is that they do. But it gives them the space that they need. They need to do that. That's the way that they cope. That's their wiring. So it's got nothing to do with not being there for you, or you not being there for them, or anything like that. It's just, that's just how they handle it. So this is what I'm saying. It's so important for us to understand, oh, those are your shoes. Oh, and look, I forget, you get caught up in the heat of the moment, or something blindsides you, good old life throws a bit of a curveball at you, and you go, well, why are you not seeing it like this? Or you should be doing it like that. And then you go, who am I to say you should be wearing these shoes the way that I want you to wear them, and you should be going my way, and then I've got to rain check myself and go, oh, flip, I'm doing it again. It's just that they are, for example, independent thing, or they are proximity thing, or whatever it is, or something that is totally different to you. So remember, I was talking about how in NLP we talk about our maps overlapping. When our maps are very similar, the common ground between the two makes it easier for you to operate with that person, because it's not odd in your map of the world, because that's how you operate as well. So the more overlaps that you have, the easier it is to get on with that person. So if you're finding that there's a clash, or if you're finding that there's you're like, no, it should be done this way, or how is it that like they're doing it that way, you can start going now, oh, it's because they are independent thing, I'm people proximity, got it. I'm an Enneagram number 2, and they are I don't know, quite often those ones I find are a 5s, because they tend to be the more hermity types, Enneagram 5. So you can start piecing all of this together and go, patchwork quilt here of Enneagram 5 thing, independent, I'm people pleaser, so more likely maybe Enneagram 2, proximity, people, shoe wearer. 3 pieces already of your fabric right there, right? So how useful is that? I mean, so tell me now that you've got all 4, what's your combo? So are you, the people pleaser, people shoe wearer, proximity, or people independent, or are you thing proximity, or you thing what did I say, thing independent? All right, so you tell me, and go, let me know if you thought that was useful. I really hope you did. I mean, I find this stuff amazing. It's like, it just makes life so much easier to get through, doesn't it? And it's like, oh, I understand your shoes in your closet now, I know my shoes in my closet. Man, I've got you pegged to a degree, because there's always surprises. Hey, like, we think we've got all the answers, and then say, oh, actually I thought I had that one and it was actually not that. Or they're different, and they wear different shoes in different scenarios sometimes too, don't they? So anyway, I hope you found that useful, and thank you for your time once again. Namaste.